This sucks. It's official. I just lost my first game of the year. I fall down to 4-1. I really thought I was going to pull off a miracle tonight, and fading Travis Kelce was going to somehow do something, but no. Kelce puts me in my grave early, and we lose our matchup this week. Hopefully, you had a good game. Hopefully, you did not fall like the Chiefs, myself, the Bills, the Eagles. As you can tell, all the greats are falling in week 5. But let's talk about what happened, and let's see if we need to update any of the rankings. Starting off with the Kansas City Chiefs, Mahomes has a phenomenal fantasy day, right? Like, obviously, Mahomes is always a threat to give you a ton of passing volume, which is exactly what happens in this one, where you get 318 passing yards, you get a passing touchdown. Like, that's not out of the ordinary for Mahomes. I mean, it's obviously going to be better when you get Rashee Rice back in here. Just this overall offense is going to improve. But the continued trend that we have seen so far this season is Patrick Mahomes is just running the ball a lot more. Now, I mean, this is what we've seen in the past for the Kansas City Chiefs. Keep in mind that this typically happens whenever the Chiefs are actually trailing in games or they're playing in competitive contests, is when you're going to get Mahomes out there just a little bit more scrambling, and because he's willing to take the hits if he needs to. Like against the New York Giants a couple weeks back, it's never going to happen, right? Like, we can go ahead and we can just look at this week by week here for Mahomes. And the main thing that I want to look at will be the rushing production. Stats haven't pulled in for this game yet on flockfantasy.com. They should pull in for any minute now. But against the Baltimore Ravens last week, it was a blowout, right? So Patrick Mahomes, 5 rushing yards. Against the New York Giants week 3, the game wasn't close. You get 2 rushing yards from Patrick Mahomes. They lose the first 2 weeks against the Chargers and Philly Eagles, sorry. You have 57 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown, 66 rushing yards and the rushing touchdown. And now all of a sudden in this game, it's almost the same stat line, right? You get 6 carries, 60 rushing yards and the rushing TD. So in games in which the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be playing a close one, in games in which the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be losing, Patrick Mahomes is absolutely going to crush with him running the ball. Now, looking at matchups going into the future and trying to figure out what we should project out here for this Chiefs offense, this next week against the Detroit Lions, this may be a really good spot for Mahomes, as the Lions are going to be favored in this contest. I mean, at least I would assume. We'll see. And I'm assuming that we're going to get some Mahomes scrambles. Against the Raiders, Chiefs should be favored, but that's a division game. Then you got the Raiders, you have the Bills, you have the Broncos, you have the Colts, you have Dallas. You have a lot of these like close-ish, tough games for Mahomes. So I think it's good for his overall rushing production. Looking at what we have with him in our rankings at the moment, I had Patrick Mahomes as our quarterback 5 coming into this. Do I need to move him up or down? No, I think he just stays as is. Now, going over to the running backs, we have Kareem Hunt with 7 carries. We have Isaiah Pacheco with 7. Kareem Hunt gets the goal line stuff, right? So Kareem Hunt's the guy who actually walks away with rushing touchdowns. Now, if y'all don't know this, I drafted a lot of Kareem Hunt in Underdog Best Ball drafts, and you can look up the public database. Our teams are crushing it right now. Like, I may have more teams left in the Eliminator than anybody else on the entire app. Obviously, praise to the big Q. But Kareem Hunt's a reason for that as well. Kareem Hunt, I thought, was a very interesting best ball play at running back, just because it was very easy to assume that he was going to have a role. But in your regular redraft league, am I excited to tell you, like, oh, you need to go and pick up Kareem Hunt? You need to get excited about Kareem? No, like, realistically speaking, the dude is never going to project to hit your starting lineup. Like, the thing with Kareem Hunt is he's almost identical to, like, Justice Hill. And then, of course, he's going to have a couple usable random weeks. But the ceiling from a projections perspective is never going to be there week to week, where I know, like, oh, Isaiah Pacheco's injured. Kareem Hunt's a top 12 running back this week. You got to jam him in. Like, that's not in the cards for Hunt. So I'll move him up these rankings a bit. I had preemptively moved Rashad Smith ahead of Kareem Hunt because Smith is the younger, more dynamic running back. And they had told us that Rashad Smith was going to have an expanded role in this contest. And in reality, Smith only has 4 total opportunities. Obviously, he's out there for kick return. He's more of the receiving style RB. But for now, it's a 3-man running back by committee. I'm very thankful for Kareem Hunt getting us some like best ball production. But I don't know if I'm ever telling you to actually, like, again, start him. Like, I'll move him back ahead of Rashad Smith. But then, like, the other handcuffed running backs like Ollie Gordon, Like, I guess maybe you move him out of Caleb Johnson at this point. Like, these other handcuffed running backs, like, if you get a CMC injury, I know to tell you to put Brian Robinson in your starting lineup. If Isaiah Pacheco goes down, I'm still not excited to tell you to start Kareem Hunt. Now, with Pacheco, we had him as RB40. At this point, we'll obviously talk about Hassan Haskins in the waiver wire video a ton next week, and I may need to zoom in on this. I'm being stupid. I'm sorry. I should have zoomed in at the very beginning. But anyway, like, the video's dropping with Hassan Haskins on the waiver wire stuff tomorrow morning. Just obviously make sure you are subscribed to the channel if you're not already. I mean, I think we are about 5,000 subscribers away from hitting 300,000, which usually we get about 5,000 subscribers in October and November. It's a fantasy football channel, so this is about the time of year where growth stops. So it's going to be really close on if we can hit 300K this year. But if you would go down there and hit that like button, it would help us out a bit. But anyway, like, at this point, I would drop Isaiah Pacheco for Hassan Haskins. I would drop Isaiah Pacheco for Kendre Miller, hoping that Alvin Kamara gets dealt. Like, I think I would move. I think I would drop him for Benson. I think I would drop him for Algier. Maybe I would even drop him for Tracy. Like, realistically, Isaiah Pacheco's like RB46 for me at this point. Like, I think that this is somebody that you can just go ahead and drop for almost any of these interesting waiver wire names like Hassan Haskins. Then looking at the receivers, Tyquan Thornton gets there at 90 receiving yards. The dude's not startable. Never put Tyquan Thornton in your starting lineup. Hollywood Brown has 8 targets. He's not startable either. Rashee Rice is coming back in 2 weeks. So, like, this is a game in which you have 318 passing yards. Hollywood looked okay. Tyquan Thornton looked okay, but you're not always going to have 300 passing yards in Kansas City. This isn't 2018. And when Rashee Rice comes back in, Rice is going to be the guy. So really the only player we're talking about here is going to be Xavier Worthy. Xavier Worthy, I always have higher in our weekly rankings than we have in our rest of season rankings. Multiple reasons. 1, you're going to get Rice back in this offense soon. And 2, Xavier Worthy is an injury risk. Whether it's his shoulder, whether it's him popping up on the injury report coming into this game, whether it's him going down during the game and you have to be scared at all times. So I have Xavier Worthy wide receiver 26, right between like Michael Pittman, Chris Olave, and the same tier with like Flowers, Metcalf, Pittman. Like, I'm leaving him there. Again, those wide receivers 23 through 31, you rank him in whatever order you want. I think he's an E-tier wide receiver. He's a must-start name until Rashee Rice comes back in. But once Rice is back in, he's probably going to be a flex play. That's a high injury risk. Then going over and looking at Travis Kelce. This may be the only rankings adjustment we really have to do for the Chiefs offense. I don't even know how much higher we need to put him. I do need to move him up a bit. It's a great performance. I mean, I am not the biggest Kelce guy. Again, I was fading him this week. I was trying to move to 5-0. I needed a miracle, and Kelce squashed those hopes. Looking at Kelce, he had 8 targets. They clearly gave him the gimme touchdown at the goal line. 7 receptions, 61 receiving yards. He looked decent. I previously had him as my tight end 13. But realistically speaking, it's tough to make an argument to have like Dallas Goedert and David Njoku ahead of him. I'll move Kelce up a tier in our rankings. I think maybe we are a little bit too much of a Kelce hater. But I'll also say with Kelce again, that when you get Rashee Rice back in this offense, Rice kind of operates in a similar area of the football field as Kelce does. So that is going to concern me. Now, let's move this over and let's talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars. And oh my gosh, if only Travis Etienne gave me the Trevor Lawrence rushing stat line. Trevor Lawrence, 54 rushing yards, multiple rushing touchdowns. If we go through and look at what Lawrence typically gives you, this isn't something we can expect going into the future. Like, while Lawrence isn't a 0, he's not Jared Goff. He's not Matthew Stafford rushing the football. He's a hell of a lot closer to Stafford than he is Lamar. Like, looking at what we have with Lawrence so far this season, 12, 4, 9, and 7 rushing yards coming into this game. Looking at his career averages, 2024, 11.9. 2023, 21. 17, his rookie season, 19. This will be the expectation for Lawrence rushing production. he's going to give you about 15 to 20 rushing yards per game. And typically, we are not expecting Lawrence to really do anything in terms of passing volume that's super special. So while Lawrence popped today, do I think you need all of a sudden go out there and dramatically move him up your rankings? No. Like, realistically, he does have more rushing upside than what you're going to get with Stroud and Michael Penix. But he's still in the tier of options with like Stroud, Penix, Stafford, Jackson Dart that I don't want to roster every single week. Like, he was averaging 12.3 fantasy points coming into this. Like, these are quarterbacks that you're playing the matchups with and nothing more. Like, they're streamers. So, I know Lawrence has himself a phenomenal day, a great real life day as well. But fantasy football purposes, I'm not changing my mind of Trevor Lawrence from one performance. Now, looking over at running back, Travis Etienne gives us the 12 carries, no rushing touchdowns, 49 rushing yards. The receiving involvement, he has 4 targets, 3 receptions, 9 receiving yards. So it's not horrendous. Like, you still have some bum random running back that I never heard of before this season out there on third downs. Byshell Tootin is still maybe a concern for the long term, but Byshell Tootin hasn't been expanding his role whatsoever. So nothing changes with Travis Etienne here, to be honest. Like, let me go through and look at where I had Etienne in my rest of season rankings before this game. I had him at RB16. I probably leave him at RB16 after this. I don't think he's going up or down. Byshell Tootin's still somebody that you want to roster. I would say that maybe he does fall a little bit closer to just being in like the tier of the handcuff RBs, like Tyler Algier, Kendre Miller, Kenneth Gainwell. So I think we'll move Byshell Tootin down a tier, but he's still going to be RB39. Nothing really changes there. Wide receiver, we have Brian Thomas, Travis Hunter. So Travis Hunter made some highlight plays. Travis Hunter got banged up in this game as well, but they're still using Travis Hunter on the defensive side of the ball, right? Travis Hunter is not startable anytime soon. Again, what we've said over and over again is Travis Hunter is not startable until he proves otherwise. And realistically speaking, as every week goes by, I am more and more willing to just go ahead and move Travis Hunter down our rest of season ranks, that he doesn't do anything. I mean, he had highlight grabs. I know it was exciting, but like, you're not winning fantasy football matchups with excitement. This is a dude that coming into this game, his best fantasy performance ever was wide receiver 39 in week 1, where he scored 9.3 fantasy points. Like, technically in this game, he ties that, right? Where he has 9.4, but nothing changes. He has 3 targets. Realistically speaking, now that we have another week of data here with Travis Hunter, I would rather have Khalil Shakir than him. I'm going to move Shakir ahead of him in my rest of season ranks. You can maybe even talk me into having Juwan Jennings ahead of him if Jennings is fully healthy, which honestly, I think we are going to move Jennings ahead. So I think Travis Hunter just slides back a couple spots in my rest of season ranks. He's like with Keon Coleman, Calvin Ridley, Alec Eoman, Wan'Dale Robinson down here at wide receiver 44. Then Brian Thomas, I honestly thought that we were going to be able to come out here and say like, okay, it's over. Nuke the dude. RIP, GG's. He doesn't even hit 10 fantasy points in this contest, which is a super high scoring game. And then you have the big play in the second to final drive, at least the last drive for the Jacksonville Jaguars. He looked viable then. It's still, he only scores 12 fantasy points. And realistically speaking, I mean, this is a player that his next best game this season was 10.6. Like, Brian Thomas still has not done anything whatsoever this year. So looking at my rest of season ranks, if I'm going to just finally grow up and like remove the priors that we had coming into the season and stop thinking about the fact that he was drafted at the 1-2 turn, I think we have to move him behind Jalen Waddle. I think Waddle with the Tyreek injury has to go ahead of Brian Thomas. I think we maybe move Brian Thomas down just a couple spots to wide receiver 20. And then again, if we get one big performance from Quentin Johnson and one more dud from Brian Thomas could quickly drop into this range of like the random all mid wide receiver group. I mean, I didn't drop Brian Thomas. I hope he continues to crap the bed. I hope DK Metcalf crushes him, and I hope Quentin Johnson crushes him. And maybe this is me holding on to the fact that Brian Thomas was a round 1 pick and I was drafting Quentin Johnson nonstop wide receiver 79 on Underdog. I'm not going to let you forget it. But yeah, it's hard for me to move him much beyond this. And then going over and looking at Britton Strange. Do we have an update with the Britton Strange injury? Obviously, he goes down in this game. Feel bad. I know before the live stream, I looked at a bunch of gross options like Britton Strange versus like Juju Smith-Schuster. I was like, oh yeah, start Britton Strange, and Britton Strange gets injured. Like realistically, I'll put Taysom Hill ahead of Britton Strange at this point. I'd probably rather have Loveland. I'd rather have Evan Ingram ahead of him too. So we'll move Britton Strange down to about tight end 25 just with the injury. Don't have any details on it whatsoever, but yeah, I do think you probably have more upside with Loveland and Taysom Hill if they are fully healthy at this point. So we'll move Strange down to 25. But I'm going to submit these rankings on the site. Overall, super fun football game. Just realistically, a game that we don't have to change update our rankings with much here. Now, one thing that I owe y'all a massive thank you for is I just checked and more people have signed up with code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy over the past 10 days than we have had in pretty much almost forever. I'm assuming the reason is just everybody's excited about taking advantage of the offers that they have, which again, one of the offers is you use promo code FLOCK and you will get $100 added to your account after you play your first 5. I think that's why we're getting so many people to sign up at the moment. But also you'll get a free pick like Jalen Hurts, higher or lower half a total yard for the Thursday night game as well. If you haven't already taken advantage of this offer on Underdog, it's the number one way you could support this channel. The link's always in the description. It's in the comment section. It's in the live chat. I know I've been super annoying about this as of late, but again, it's because this has been the best offer we've ever seen on Underdog Fantasy. A lot of people are taking advantage of it. I think you should as well. And you'll get free questions that you can ask me in the live streams. And I'm live streaming every single day, answering fantasy football questions until Christmas. And Underdog Fantasy is also available in almost every single state as well. But I think that's all I have for y'all. Again, sadly, I fell to 4-1 this week. So not a super exciting night for yours truly, but appreciate you hanging out with us, and I really hope we get to see you out with the live stream tomorrow. Oh, and while I have your attention, one last thing. If you are a paid member of flockfantasy.com, for the love of God, make sure you go to the post section. I ordered 2,500 hats. These hats are getting here this week. I'm going to be boxing them up with my fiance. We're going to be shipping them all out to y'all. I paid for the hats. I'm paying for all the shipping. I'm spending more money doing this than I've spent on anything in my entire life. The reason is y'all have supported the channel more than ever. So I want to get back to y'all in any way that I can. So if you're a paid member of the site, please go fill out this Google form. Let me send you over a free hat. All you got to do is let me know essentially where I'm sending it to, and let me know what hat you like, or you just essentially rank them best to worst. That way I can get you what you like. Obviously there are a bunch of designs here, but that's on the post page on flockfantasy.com. So if you're a paid member of the site, please go ahead and take advantage of that. Now, I appreciate y'all, and I really hope I get to see you out